Hello everyone, welcome to LovegLew Creations. I'm Felicia.
I'm Jules.
And today's tutorial is going to be a little different. We're going to show you how to pack and ship a wreath. I've had some of my subscribers ask me if I could do a tutorial on that, so today we're going to do that just for you. I have my husband in this tutorial with me. He helps me pack and ship the wreath, so he'll add a lot of value as well to this tutorial. So let's get to it. All right, so first things first, I want to talk about where we get our boxes from. So there are several companies that we order from. We order them in bulk. We order from Grainger, we order from Uline. There's also half price boxes. I'm not sure if that's in everybody's state or city where you're located. They have several locations here in Houston. We use half price boxes when we need a unique box or we run out of the box size that we currently have, and we can just go to the store and pick them up right away. When you order from Uline and Grainger, you have to wait for the order to come in. So, and those are our favorite places to order.
Also, on a side note, when you're getting these boxes from half price boxes, you're going to be paying a premium because you're not buying them in bulk. So if you just need that one-off box, yeah, it works, but it's probably cheaper to go through Uline. My favorite is Grainger.
And some people also order from Walmart and Amazon. So I haven't used those stores for that. Now they do have boxes, and I've used those boxes when we're moving and so forth, but I've never used their boxes for wreaths. Now, I want to add this note. Grainger and Uline also have boxes labeled as wreath boxes. So that's pretty cool. So there's a certain size boxes that they have. They're labeled wreath boxes. Others, you're going to have to buy a box that fits the size of your wreath. So next we're going to talk about how you determine what size box you need for your wreath. So first things first is you want to measure your wreath. So I just brought a wreath that I had, this is one that I have as an example. So this is a 24-inch wreath. Once it's made, it's 24 inches all the way around. Had this been a swag or any other type of elongated wreath, you want to measure from the length of your wreath from the top to the bottom. And you want to measure from the tallest point of your wreath down to the lowest point of your wreath for the length, and then the tallest point of your wreath from side to side for the width. And of course the depth, so the height of your wreath also determines the size of your box as well. So this is, like I said, a 24-inch wreath once it's created, but it was made on a 16-inch wreath base frame. So most of the time when you're creating a wreath like this, a deco mesh wreath, and it's strictly deco mesh, it's going to create a 24-inch wreath all the way around for the complete diameter. All right, so we're gonna show you the box in a minute.
So one thing I'd like to add is that sometimes you just can't find the perfect box. Sometimes you're gonna find some that are probably 10 inches, 8 inches, 6 inches, but there's a solution to it. You may not have the perfect box, but there's a tool that you can get, and this is a box sizer. And the way that this works is there's a lot of YouTube tutorials on how to use it, but it pretty much scores the box so that you can take a box that's 10 inches and reduce it down to 8 inches, because again, all that extra that you have in there, that space has to be filled. Otherwise, your box is gonna cave in on you once you start putting things in it, and you don't wanna have all that extra space.
Thank you. All right, so good information. So next we're going to show you how to prepare your box to get your wreath put your wreath inside of it. FYI, I'm also going to have a free downloadable PDF that you can find in my description below. It's going to list the box size types that I use for swags, wreaths, and that really big tablescape that I made. That was a very unique box. The tools that I use to pack up the wreaths, as well as the packing supplies. So you're gonna need bubble wrap and some other type of packing paper. And so it'll be all in that downloadable PDF. So please make sure you get that free item. It's definitely something that you can keep for a very long time. I'm also gonna have the tape type that I use. Not all packing tape is the same. So I found that out through doing this, making wreaths and shipping them as well. So Make sure you get that downloadable PDF, you guys. It's going to be very good information for you to keep for the future as your resource, and keep it on handy when you need it. All right, so we're going to start with a typical wreath size box that I use for that particular wreath that I just showed you all. This is a 24 by 24 by 6. So this is gonna fit that wreath perfectly. Again, that type of wreath, this wreath box is perfect. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and build this box.
One of the things I want to point out to you guys, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's an edge crush test that's 32. That's very important when you're shipping in boxes, because some boxes aren't as strong as others, and they do make boxes that are a lot stronger, which you probably don't need for something this light. Okay, so let's get this box built. Okay, so notice with the building of the box, there's this gap right here. Any gaps that you have, it's gonna make the box weaker. So you wanna make sure that your edges are flush together, so get that on there. And also guys, be generous with your tape. Don't try to cut corners and skip with your tape, because this is helping strengthen your box.
So we'd like to do one right on the seam, and then a couple on the sides that just keep it together and form that reinforcement of the box to make the seam stronger, hold stronger. All right. Next.
So as you can see, it's kind of like loose up in there. Now what you can do is you can put tape in there to help it, just to keep it kind of flush and closed.
All right, so I'm gonna put the wreath inside so you all can see exactly how it fits perfectly in there. Ta-da! Perfect fit. All right, so it's in there perfectly. Now, the next step is, how do we secure it in the wreath? I mean, in the box. So what I do is I will use a just a Sharpie, a black marker, or any color marker, and mark where I want to puncture holes in with my screwdriver. All right, so just find a point, and you want to find a point around the wreath that's the sturdiest. So I want to tie down my wreath on the bars of the wreath form. For other wreaths, if we're not using this type of wreath form, I find some point on my wreath that's strong that I can use to really secure it down into the box with zip ties. So I'm gonna mark my points where I want to secure my wreath. So I'll find the actual ring of my wreath form and make my marks, one for each side, because that's where the zip ties are going to go. Once I get that done, I take it out, and now I have my marks in the box. Okay, so now I'm going to use my screwdriver and just puncture holes where I put my marks. I want to puncture all the way through, because this is where the zip ties are going to go. All right, so now we have our markings. Now we're going to get the zip ties. So next we're going to thread the zip tie through the holes that I created in the box. and get it ready so we can add the wreath. Sometimes it doesn't always work this way. We thread it through first, but sometimes it does. So we're gonna go ahead and do it this way. Sometimes you gotta put the wreath back in and then thread it through. All right, so now we got it prepared for the ability to now secure our wreath inside. So we'll go ahead and add the wreath. And secure it around the metal band of the wreath form. Got yours in here? All right.
What you use, so I can drop it down and tighten it.
All right, here we go. All right, so
let's flip it over and show them what it looks like.
yeah, we're gonna
There you go.
All right, so we're gonna show you how we finish this off on the back as well. But now you can see what it looks like. The zip ties have been securely added to our wreath, and we are going to cover that up. We'll show you in a minute. So now that our wreath is in our box, and because this is a fluffy one and it doesn't need a lot of packing material, so what I'm going to do is just add a thin layer of bubble wrap and then secure the sides with some packing paper. So this is, move the box out the way. Let me show you. So this is the paper that I use to stuff around the corners of my wreath, just to give it some more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Security.
Security, all right?
So let's turn the top so they can see it.
Okay. So it's just U-line crap paper, and all I do is pull out pieces, cut them, and I ball them up in the corners.
So as you can see how many pieces we balled up, right? Or took out.
All right. Now, and yes, sometimes it does take two people. My husband is he is my packing guy behind the scenes, helping me take care of these parts. I'm the creator. He is the engineer.
Logistics.
Logistics. Here we go. So just clump it up, secure the sides, just to give it more security. And again, one thing I always talk about is that the materials that we make our wreaths with are light materials. So the majority of the time, our wreaths are the boxes are huge, but the item itself is so light, it's like a very, very light box. So that's the great thing, is the weight of the box isn't a factor in shipping. The size of the box is what drives up the shipping cost, so keep that in mind as well. All right, so now it's bubble wrap time, and we just want to show you the bubble wrap that we buy. This is a bundle that we get from U-line, and it comes with perforations on it, so you can tear the bubble wrap where you need to instead of having to cut it. So makes it real easy to use to get it ready for shipping.
So each square is about a foot, maybe 10 inches, maybe a foot long, to make sure that you can always get the same size. But when you do use this stuff, keep in mind, you want to be generous enough to cover your entire project.
Exactly. All right, so now we're going to cut some bubble wrap and show you how we put it on the wreath. Next, we're going to add the bubble wrap to the wreath. So get in there enough so it can cover the wreath to help with the shipping, just in case it gets, other boxes on top of it. It gives it extra security for the wreath. And then we'll add some of the bubble wrap to the corners as well, just to give it that extra strength and support that it needs in the shipping process. All right. So usually what I do after this is I put in the shipping, the order form for the wreath. I add a nice little note. I also let the consumers know, let the buyers know that to fluff out the ribbons or the bow, and depending on the box, some boxes can be taller as well. But usually, no matter what size the box is, with putting on the shipping supplies, the bubble wrap and so forth, it can squish the ribbons. So I just give them a little note telling them to fluff out the ribbons and fluff out the bow, so that it'll come back to life the way it should, because that can happen in shipping. All right.
Also, on a side note, on some of your bigger projects where you use a lot of bubble wrap, it's good to put a piece of tape where the seams are to keep it from sliding, and also maybe tack it on the edge a little bit so that the bubble wrap doesn't slide off as well. Because the worst thing that can happen is that your package gets damaged by some other package and the bubble wrap didn't do what it was supposed to do.
All right, so I think that's good, because I think.
All right.
All right, so now we're going to close it up. So one thing to keep in mind is I like to close up my boxes. So you see where the tape is here on the side. So I want to make sure that when I close up my box that, no, wrong way, this way, that the tape seams are going the same way.
Okay, once again, we have the issue with the seam, right? So for this side of it, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start taping across first to help keep that seam closed.
It just reinforces that security of the seam in the initial tape up. All right, now down the center. Okay, so, but we're not done yet. So one thing to keep in mind is with shipping comes weather, comes, you know, whatever's going on in whatever city or state it's going to. We want to make sure that every seam of our box is secure. So we want to also tape the edges of where the flaps went down at. And that's extra security to keep it from any weather damage. Because once again, you know, we want to deliver a quality product, and we want to deliver a product that stays in its condition that it was bought in. So we're going to do this the same for the top seams and the bottom seams. I didn't see that. Okay. All right. Good there. All right. Now the bottom of the box. All right, now we still have our zip tie holes. And so what I do here is I use duct tape just to give it that extra cover, because we want to cover those holes just like we make sure the seams were protected. We want to make sure these holes are protected to prevent any weather, water, or anything coming through into the box. So, all right. It's just an extra layer of reinforcement and protection. Nothing's coming through our box. Nothing. Snow, rain, nothing. The only thing that could damage this box is if it was in a flood. Floating down the river. All right, so there we go. Now, the other thing that I do is I add a very pretty, this is just my touch. So I like to add my company name, and it's a really pretty tape that I bought. I got this through I believe Vistaprint. Yeah, Vistaprint. So, and it's I put water on it. It's a adhesive tape, and just add a strip of that to my box to make it look really pretty. And when my customers get it, they know they're getting something. It adds to the excitement of the box, I believe. I would love to, receive a wreath with something like that on it. The other thing that I do is I add fragile stickers on my wreath box. So that way the mail carriers know that to handle it with care. It's not something they want to throw around, like, hopefully not doing that with everybody else's packages, but I make sure this is on there. And then for the top of, so I put it on the top, the bottom, and the sides of my box so they can see it from all angles. And then I write on it, the side that should be up, I write this side up. So that way, and I'll put it down here too, so that way they know, try to keep it right side up. The reason why is because y'all have seen my wreaths, the ones with Santa, with special focal points, and I want that to stay up, because if it's shipping upside down the whole time, even though it's being secured with the zip ties, I still want it to try to keep it right side up to prevent, messing up my focal points in the shipping. All right, you all, so here's the final box, and I forgot to say, add your shipping label. That's important, so I always put my shipping label on there as well. I hope this tutorial was informational for those that wanted to see it. I hope this is exactly what you were looking for, and I hope that everything that we showed you can be used, you'll be able to use for your business. Don't forget, you'll get your free PDF to download with all the resources and stores and so forth that we use for our packing supplies. And yeah, so thanks a lot for watching this tutorial.
Oh, and thanks for boxing with us.
All right, bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe.